Hey, everybody out there. I am Phoenix Tremayne, and this is my top 10 horror movies of all time. This mask, I love this mask. I'm doing a show called The Stalker Files. In it, I play the stalker, and he wears a mask. He actually wears a couple of different masks, but this is like his definitive mask when he's actually right there with the people and he's confronting them. And they just see the mirror image of themselves. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Look out for that. So this is the top 10 greatest horror movies of all time. And if you haven't subscribed to me, please take a minute to do so. It just takes a few seconds. I really appreciate it. If you are subscribed to me, thank you very much. I really do appreciate everyone who subscribes to me. Now, this list is based on social media. So there's going to be a lot of movies that will probably surprise you that didn't make it to the top 10. Movies that typically are either number one in the top 10 or somewhere towards the top are not in this list. For instance, you're not going to find The Exorcist on this list. There's so many top 10 horror movies lists where Exorcist is number one. And not one person chose The Exorcist as their favorite horror movie in our social media poll. So also you should know that we did not do suspense films or alien films. Some people did pick alien films like Aliens and Predator as their favorite horror movie, but we consider that to be sci-fi. So that's Aliens. If it's an alien, they don't get on this list. A lot of people chose The Thing. I consider it an alien movie. That's not on the list. Also, people chose movies that were suspense movies, which aren't horror movies. They're suspense films, like Silence of the Lambs, Sixth Sense. People chose some of those movies too to be on our top 10 list, but they weren't considered horror movies either, so they didn't make it to the list. So what did make it to our list? I want to first do some honorable mentions. These movies almost made it to the list, but they didn't quite manage to get in there. The other 10 movies overruled them. So the first one is a movie I personally hated. I can't believe I saw that shit twice in the movies. Jeepers Creepers. The fuck? People actually pick Jeepers Creepers as the scariest horror movie of all time? What the fuck? That movie didn't scare me. It annoyed the fuck out of me. Ringu. So Ringu was okay, and I didn't say The Ring. I said Ringu. There's a difference. Ringu is the Japanese version of The Ring. It's the original version of The Ring. Ju-on made it on the list as an honorable mention. And Ju-on, the American version of Ju-on, is The Grudge. And that was a horrible fucking movie with Sarah Michelle Gellar in it. But Ju-on, the actual Japanese version, was actually good. And their Ju-on Part 2 was just as good as Part 1. I've just found out there's a Ju-on 3 and 4, which I've never seen, but I'm working on it. 2 would be Candyman. Candyman is probably one of the few black horror films out there. And a lot of people mention Candyman, but not enough to get into the top 10. And then we have Hellraiser, another movie I never understood why people liked it. I actually like the way Pinhead and the Cenobites look, that little leather look, it's visually fine. But when I actually got down to the movie itself, I was bored. But Pinhead is a horror icon, so whatever Clive Barker did with him, it went over my head, but it didn't go over some of your heads. But now, those were our 5 honorable mentions. Now we're going to get to the top 10, starting with number 10, which is Saw. Saw actually made it into our top 10 movies. The first one was okay. This is my personal taste. The first one was okay. The second one to me was better. And I watched all of them. Some were good, some were bad. But Saw definitely made it into our top 10 as the number 10 um, greatest horror movie of all time. And some of these movies, I'm going by franchise because when people said Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street, they didn't say Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors, or, Part 5, The Dream Master, or The Dream Child. So I'm not saying that it's any one particular movie in a franchise, just that people name that particular franchise. Next up is actually a movie that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid, and it makes our number 9, and that's Night of the Living Dead. So Night of the Living Dead is our number 9 greatest horror movie of all time. Number 8 is actually one of my more modern day horror movie favorites that I like. I only liked the first movie. I didn't like the second movie, and I didn't like the third movie. I thought they were a little boring and stretching. I know there's like a fourth one coming out, but that number 8 movie is Insidious. Yes, I liked Insidious. Insidious was a good movie. When I was in that theater, everybody was jumping to Insidious. Number 7, this was one of the surprises that made it to the list. I liked the film. I didn't realize that so many people liked this film as well, because I kind of thought it was sort of like a horror movie that kind of was in the middle, and we ain't seen a sequel in a long ass time. But our number 7 movie is I Know What You Did Last Summer. So, you played with Jennifer Love Hewitt's titties. Woohoo! No, I'm just kidding. No, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Also starred one of my favorite actresses, Sarah Michelle Gellar. So even though Sarah Michelle did a horrible job in The Grudge, it was more like the movie itself was just dumb as shit. But Sarah Michelle, I've really been watching this chick since Swan's Cross, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you missed that. Next up is another movie that I personally came late to the game with. I didn't see this movie till way after. I never saw it in the theaters, and that's The Evil Dead. I'm now watching the Evil Dead TV show on, I think it's Stars or Showtime. I think it's Stars. So I've been watching the Evil Dead TV show. I did watch The Evil Dead and Army of Darkness, but I never seen them in the movie theaters. I did go see that bullshit remake in the movies, and why did I do that? Number 5, greatest horror movie of all time, voted by the people that follow me on social media, was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, you knew this movie was going to be on this list, and it actually made it up pretty high up the chain. Most people love Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original version. The remake was okay. The sequel was okay. I think there's like 2 sequels and a remake. But it was okay. But the original was the one that still scares the shit out of people to this day. Now, our number 4 movie is probably would have been for me the number 2 if I was doing this list by myself. But one of my favorite horror movie franchises is Halloween. Michael Myers. Now that's a scary motherfucker. So, and he's like Jason. He don't talk. He just kill. He ain't got no real reason to be fucking killing people. He just fucking killing people. It's Halloween. Fuck it. Gonna kill some people. Man, let's take a minute to admire, this dragon dagger really fast. Now, this is just a prop, but good lord, if this ever went in somebody, it's so jagged and rough and evil, it would pull out all your fucking insides. This is a fucking knife. But it's a prop. And I actually have 2 of them in one of my web series. I call them like the dragon daggers, and it's a whole thing. Check out my web series Eden Lost. Then we have our number 3, which is the aforementioned Friday the 13th. Jason Voorhees. You knew Jason was going to make it on here somewhere. And Friday the 13th, rightfully so, has at least made it to the 3rd scariest horror film on the face of the planet. Number 2 is actually my all-time favorite horror movie, and I would switch, if it was just me, I would switch number 2 with number 1 and make number one, number two. We ain't had a sequel in a while. But Scream, I like Scream. I really love part one. That's my favorite Scream movie. And I actually saw it multiple times. Part two, I've seen twice, but that was a little disappointing. Part three, we ain't even talk about that shit. And then part four made up a little bit for part three. But now, once again, it's become a TV series. And I watched the TV series. The TV series ain't that good, but I'm sticking in there and watching it, and it'll be on soon. But if Scream is the number two movie, which in my opinion is really number one, but what movie franchise have we left out that you have not heard of, that we haven't seen in a while, but will always be on everyone's, top 10 horror movie list? What horror movie icon is missing? The one and only Freddy Krueger. Our number one greatest horror movie franchise of all time is greatest horror movie of all time, but the franchise itself is Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, for many people, it kind of peaked at part three, the Dream Warriors, but it was still a fun ride while it lasted. We're not going to talk about that remake with that new Freddy that wasn't Robert Englund, who's actually coming back as Freddy again, because, that's what people want. We would want Robert Englund just voicing Freddy, and letting somebody else do the body work just because he's just that good. But we got Robert Englund back. He's back to being Freddy. That movie will be out whenever it'll be out. And that's our top 10 list. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope your favorites made it to the top 10 list. Now, I'll be updating this list soon. So if you thought that some of these choices were bullshit, just comment on it. And when I do my next update of the greatest horror movies of all time, I will take the list from the comments along with the list that I did on, Facebook, and then I'll merge the two, and we'll probably end up with a brand new top 10 list and 5 honorable mentions. So, if you disagree with the list, then you should be typing in the comments as we speak. Please subscribe to me. I'd really appreciate it. I'm going to be doing a lot more top 10 lists, the top 10 greatest MCs, the top 10 greatest female MCs, the top 10 greatest pop stars, boy bands. We're going to be doing a lot of top 10 lists soon. So, help us out. Tell us what you think. And be on the lookout if you join me on Facebook. Be on the lookout when I'm asking people what is their greatest, whatever, top 10, whatever. Just join in the conversation, and, you will be on the list. And if you say something funny in particular, I may even give you a shout out. So thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed this list, and hope you keep watching.